everyone. Welcome to RPV City Talk on the road from the beautiful Terranea Resort. I'm Liz Brown Swanson with the great mayor of Rancho Palos Verdes, Mayor Dave Bradley. Great to be with you for your monthly mayor's update. How are you?
I'm fantastic, and just because we are filming this on Valentine's Day, happy Valentine's Day, and happy Valentine's Day to everyone else. Coming from the fireplace in front of the main hearth at Terranea, which is a beautiful place.
It doesn't get cozier than this, and thanks for spreading the love. That's what you do, Dave.
Absolutely.
Every day, and that's, right here at Terranea, this is the best place to come, right? You can bring your sweetheart, bring your family, and but every day of the year, they feel the love here.
I'm sure that Terranea is going to put on some wonderful things for tonight.
When you come to this resort, you just want to be, strolling outside in the gorgeous view, and it's happening because the sun's coming out as we sit here, but it was rainy, and it feels so nice to warm up by the fire. We have a lot of things we want to talk about going on in the city. Let's talk about what's going on with the landslide situation and the state of emergency. Bring that community up to speed where we're at right now with dealing with mitigation measures and helping impacted residents.
So we are still under a state of emergency, and that's going to be continued on for the foreseeable future as we try to get the landslide remediation, stabilize Palos Verdes Drive South, and continue with that. The upside is that we have seen some dramatic reduction in overall acceleration of the landslide in the eastern portion of the landslide, showing us that a lot of our mitigation measures that we put in place over the last 12 to 18 months are really paying off. In fact, this week, SoCal Edison was re-energizing multiple houses in the Beach Club area as well as Seaview and bringing those properties back online. So those are properties that have not been red tagged, that have gone through a city inspection to make sure that they're safe to occupy and to be energized. In addition to that, we've been able to re-energize 2 of the K-clad water extraction wells, get them off portable generators that have been prohibitively expensive to use, and actually put them on regular SoCal Edison power. So that's a huge upside.
Right. When you mention K-classes for our viewers, that stands for the Klondike Canyon landslide abatement district.
Yes.
There are 2 landslide abatement districts that are in the complex area, obviously Abalone Cove and the Klondike Canyon.
Yes.
These are the areas that are impacted by the landslide and the residents there. Since you mentioned that, can we also talk about what's going with ACLAD in terms of working with them for mitigation measures and funding and all of that?
Sure. So the city has offered to loan both of the geologic hazard abatement districts, ACLAD and KCLAD, money to help them jumpstart or lead putting in additional dewatering efforts. Klondike Canyon Hazard Abatement District is a little bit further ahead than Abalone Cove, but Abalone Cove is jumping in with both feet, and they're looking at how to put in additional water extraction wells on the west side of the slide complex to help mitigate the movement over there and bring it down hopefully into below historic averages.
Right.
So that, in addition to the emergency mitigation efforts that we put in for winterization, are really paying off in the current storms.
Right. So it's fair to say it's been now more than a year since the state of emergency started because of the accelerated movement, and everybody's been working 24/7 in this city. The staff, whether the city geologists, the residents dealing with this. At this point, do you feel that progress is being made? The fact that there's been almost no movement, like you were saying, in the Klondike Canyon area, which is my neighborhood of Seaview, for example. Are you feeling optimistic, especially as the rains are here?
We've absolutely made progress. The city, what we've been able to do on our resources has absolutely made a difference. We're able to get some residents back in their homes, re-energized, and retard the movement and reduce the amount of money that we're spending on PV Drive South repaving and fixing. Are we all the way there? Absolutely not. We still need help from our other government agencies at the federal, state, county levels. The landslide is well beyond the ability for the city to fix from a fiscal point of view. We did an overall scope of what we think would really take to mitigate the landslide across the entire complex, and that's roughly a $150 million project. In a city that has an annual budget of roughly $38 million, it is just something that we cannot afford to pay for. What we have put in for the emergency dewatering wells and the emergency winterization, there's O&M costs that we've assumed continuing to go forward. Those are things that the city is dedicated to continue to fund, But beyond that, we just don't have the resources. So we're still looking for our partners to really come help us across the board.
All right. I think according to our staff finance team, to date, nearly $47 million since 2022 has gone into the dealing with the landslide.
And that's everything.
Not without any money from the federal government or the state.
So we've had some meager funds allocated. So Supervisor Janice Hahn, out of her discretionary, we were able to, for the city, roughly $2.5 million. We've gotten some money through the federal government for the BRIC grant, but that has not gone into any of the stuff that we are doing today. Those are more future items.
And how about the buyout program, the property buyout program that we've had as voluntary that's going on? Can you tell our residents what's going on with that? Because it gave the opportunity for especially people that have had their homes red tagged to apply to have their homes purchased at a reduced cost, but as an option for them.
Absolutely. So all of the homes that have been red tagged have applied for the buyout program. And the buyout program is really meant to try to take those houses that are most effective out of the property, off the market,
right,
and remove them from future use. We'd be able to take those, turn them into perpetual open space. So that is going through the review process right now to make sure that those properties and their covenants have met the terms and conditions of the buyout program. So all the red tag homes have been applied, as well as the majority of the yellow tag homes have also applied for that. And that goes for all three affected areas, both Beach Club, Seaview, and Portuguese Bend Community Association.
Okay. As we wrap up talking about the landslide, anything else you think we want residents to know, just sort of where we're at, where we're going, and just any other message to residents as we all still feel the havoc that this has that wreaks on our community, especially with just Palos Verdes Drive South. I know there's that temporary bike ban still in play right now,
yes,
going forward for safety reasons. So if you're on a motorcycle, a bicycle, or any other light
vehicle,
a unicycle, you're not allowed on Palos Verdes Drive South. The signs are blinking to let everybody know that. But anything you want to add?
Yeah, I guess the last thing is the emergency winterization projects that we put in, which is lining several of the canyons, Altamira and Klondike Canyon, and lining some of the retention pond areas, has held up through the first two storms, which is fantastic. Now, these are temporary measures. These are not long-term measures, but this is plastic linings that are on those canyons to prevent the water from soaking into the water table and reactivating all the water that we've removed. So those are actually paying dividends today and continue with the slowing down of the landslide. From that point of view, I think it's a win-win to date.
Right. Well, now we're moving on from talking about the landslide situation to our city's always on alert regarding wildfires.
Absolutely.
And especially with LA's devastating fires, even more so now, residents want to know what are we doing to be more prepared? And we've got a town hall coming up, a wildfire preparedness town hall.
On the 20th?
February 20th, mark your calendars. The assistant acting chief of LA County Fire Department, Kane, was at a council meeting. So just bring our community up to speed on issues that they should know that's going on so that we're better prepared and how they can become better prepared.
So Battalion Chief Kane did come and go to all 4 cities on the peninsula and give them an after-action report of what happened in the Pacific Palisades and Altadena fires, what were some of the lessons learned, and how the peninsula is structured in case we have a fire. I think we're in a much better position. Certainly after Cal Water did their resiliency project over the last several years, the water supply for Palos Verdes is much more resilient than I think what they were seeing in Pacific Palisades. But Chief Kane and the LA County Sheriff's Department with Captain Guerrero will be at the meeting on the 20th to talk about things like that. One of the big things that most people can do is look at the Defensible Space program that LA County Fire has put out. A lot of good information there. It's on the city's website. It'll take you to LA County Fire. It talks about removing flammable things from close to your residence, putting some mitigation items in for your attic vents and your crawl space vents. Home hardening. So all of those things are things that our residents should keep in mind when they're doing upgrades to their house, remodeling. Make sure you make your house as defendable and as resilient as possible.
Right.
I think the biggest thing that I think we'll discuss with our residents, and everyone keeps asking this, is if I have to evacuate, which way do I go?
Right.
And unfortunately, that's a really hard question to answer 100% because it depends on where the disaster is. So we always say, look to your local sheriff's department that will be guiding you, but it depends on where it is. We don't want people thinking, I'm always going to turn left, because
Right.
turning left could be in the face of danger.
Yes, and so go on again. I'm talking about going on to websites. We have pvpready.gov that
Yes.
helps you with knowing more about, like to know your zone.
Know
and
your zone,
all of
absolutely.
that. Also, other things that our city's doing right now, we have things that residents know about, like just how we do our own weed abatement with the goats that are out there and brush clearance, and we have the Pano AI wildfire cameras. Talk about the resources that we are using right now in our city.
So Pano AI, phenomenal resource that was recently, the 4th camera was installed, and that is our ability to look using hyperspectral artificial intelligence that's always monitoring the local area, and it's looking for the smoke plumes that would indicate that there's a fire. That then goes to a central control station. Person in the loop looks at that, verifies that there was something there, and then alerts LA County Fire. We've had numerous cases where LA County Fire has been alerted through Pano AI for a fire that they did not currently know and were responding to. So it really helps the fire department get a jump on it. And as you can see across the board, early identification and early action on fires dramatically improve the outcome.
And our residents continuously know in here, especially when you're trying to get your fire insurance for your home, that we are a high fire hazard severity zone 24/7, as all of Southern California is. You know, lessons learned from what we watched happen with the Palisades fire, you know, you as mayor, the takeaways from that, because, you know, could that happen here? Well, one thing I know, I was talking to someone in our public works department about like how prone we are here. Yes, we have the brush. Fortunately, the way we're set up geographically on the water is helpful for
Absolutely.
not having those heavy duty winds per se, but still we're always at risk, right?
We are at risk, though we have done a lot of things. We put in the helipod up at City Hall,
Yes.
which in a fire danger time is filled, and that allows for a LA County Fire airship to extend a snorkel into that, pick up the water, then go distribute it. By the time they get back, it's refilled. It will refill itself on a quick basis, allowing multiple helicopters to use the snorkel into that, which is extremely efficient to be
And
able
a
to
great
get.
resource here.
Oh, absolutely.
It's an incredible resource for us to have that right at the Kendidas Civic Center. Another resource we now have at the recent city council meeting in the last month, the council approved having our city manager sign agreements with the American Red Cross,
Yes.
As well as the Salvation Army. So in the case of an emergency, if we need them to help provide resources, they're known for doing that kind of work in disaster relief and providing that. So talk about what that will mean for our residents, those agreements, and how that will be a helpful tool.
Well, the American Red Cross and the Salvation Army are always critical in helping local municipalities and local residents respond to disasters. A lot of people don't know that we have a major Salvation Army facility right next to City Hall that is their training center for the West Coast. It has dorm rooms, it has extensive facilities there. In the event of a disaster, we have signed an agreement with them to be able to utilize that facility to help our residents get through a disaster.
We now have in launching a public safety division. Why don't you let residents know what's happening with that effort and what this will mean to our residents?
So the RPV Public Safety Division is patterned after what was a huge success in the city of Lakewood, and that is to have a public safety department within the city to augment LA County Sheriff, to do things that we can help be more efficient at than have sworn officers do from LA County Sheriff. LA County Sheriff, great resource, but they're relatively expensive for us to use. If we can do that organically, take some of the more routine calls for information and for service and be able to triage that and then have our deputies respond to only things that really require a sworn deputy. We think it's going to be a win-win. It's going to be more responsive for our residents. It's going to be allow LA County Sheriff to respond only to emergencies. It's going to be quicker response and actually better from a financial point of view.
And so I guess we're in the process by this summer of training public safety liaisons that will be out in the field. And again, to deal with non-emergency calls. And then the council approved the position of a field training officer to
Right.
oversee. So you're building a great team, and I have to say our new public safety division manager, Jennifer Schmidt, who just came on board from Lakewood, what a dynamo. Talk about someone that is dedicated to helping our community stay safe. That she's got a lot going on, and I'm very excited to see what she's doing for our city. Also on the public safety division front, residents should stay tuned for a survey. You've approved a survey will go out so we can really assess what is it the community think we need regarding public safety.
What everyone thinks the number one or number two issues are. Not that we're going to not pay attention to the others, but this is just helping us identify what the public finds in rank order the most important things to focus on.
Excellent, excellent. So stay tuned for that in March. We're going to move on. It's budget season time. This is a very busy time for council and staff as you're getting ready to set the fiscal year 2025-2026 budget,
Yes.
as well as goals. So the next month you'll have more workshops the public can attend for
We
all
will.
of these things. So what do you want to let people know about the process, and how is the budget looking for this year, especially with the landslide and the money is needed for this?
So the budget has changed dramatically. The money that we have spent on the landslide, emergency winterization, additional dewatering wells, and the required our operations and maintenance of those that infrastructure is going to be a current and future drain on the city resources. But the city is committed to preserving Palos Verdes Drive South. I mean, we have to have Palos Verdes Drive South. So that's going to be factored into our budget, and we're going to figure out how to pay for that. We also have storm drains within the city that require repairs. So we found a couple storm drains that could be on the that have some issues that could fail in the future. So we need to get on top of those. So all of those need to be factored into our going forward budget.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's going to be challenging to budget for all those priorities, but we're committed
Right.
to making sure the city is as safe as possible.
So there's some dates I wanted to shoot out there. We've got some dates here that we could share, Mayor. On March 17th is the City Council Goal Setting
Right.
Workshop. On April 17th will be the General Fund Budget Workshop. And then as we go on, you have Capital Improvements Workshop on April 29th. We'll continue to remind our residents about these dates, but go on to rpvca.gov. You can see all of these, the calendar, because this is a great way to learn more about our city's finances and where we're spending our money
Right.
and how we're getting it.
Absolutely.
So, and I know with the goals too that come up, we won't focus on it this show, but I know, like, for example, whether it's public safety or infrastructure, we always bring up one of your goals is to see us obtain the lighthouse. So we want to work.
Absolutely. So we are working with the U.S. Coast Guard in their accessing of both the Battery Barns, which is up at the Civic Center complex, as well as the Point Vicente Lighthouse. We want to make sure that we preserve that iconic landmark of the city now and into perpetuity.
Yes. Sitting here in Terranea, of course, this is such an important resource. This resort has always been, since they opened their doors, now going on to 16 years in June, 15th year this year. And talk about the transient occupancy tax that comes into the coffers for the city year after year. I think, I've heard, tens of millions of dollars they've
Absolutely.
helped fund our city's general fund, right? It goes into the general fund?
I mean, Rancho Palos Verdes is an oasis on the coast, though we are primarily a residential community. So we do not have a lot of business and a lot of economic sales tax and things like that coming into the city coffers. Terranea is one of the major differences. I mean, we are able to work with our partner at Terranea and our other major business, which is Trump National, and that is really helping the city. When Terranea, before it was built 16 years ago, after the time that Marineland closed, we had about a 15-year period where we had no tax dollars coming in from a business here. That was some lean times within the city. Since Terranea has come and their occupancy and they've worked with the city, it has been a source of revenue that has really allowed the city to do all the great things that we've been doing.
It's played such a vital role in connecting our community too, don't you think? And over these years, I mean, whether you come here for, the main event or whatever event you want to come, or just to take a walk, or it just obviously a staycation too. We're coming up now, believe it or not, spring's in the air, and this is where you want to be for the springtime. They have lots of fun things happening, and great place to come with a family.
So I
think we need to sign up for a
Mr. Swanson
staycation.
bringing you here tonight for Valentine's Day?
You know what? We are actually staying in, but this is one of our favorite places to come, especially someone that Dawn went to college with, Renee and Andy. They sing here regularly, so we know them, and there's so many reasons to come here.
Absolutely.
Yes. But how about you? What do you got planned?
That's deer in the
You'll
headlights.
be here. No, the deer, you know what? I have to say that Mrs. Bradley, the First Lady of RPV, belongs right here at Terranea with you.
Yes, she
so
does.
You better make your reservation right when we finish this shoot. He's going to be looking to figure out where he's going to take her. And you know what? I'm
Excuse
just
me.
happy with going to Sea Beans. You can take me to Sea Beans, get a cup of coffee.
Absolutely.
All good. So yeah, but we're back to the resort again. This has been such a special place, and just grateful to think when they open their doors, there's over almost 600 rooms there. You got lots to pick from, and it's just an amazing.
From a casita to a standard room overlooking the beautiful Pacific. I was here a week ago, and I was walking along the bluffs, and there was a pod of dolphins coming out of the cove, frolicking in the waves. I mean, it's just such a special place. I did take that opportunity to snap a couple selfies while I was over by the pool, and send it to my colleagues that were on the East Coast in the middle of a snowstorm. They responded back and gave me some encouragement after I sent them those pictures.
I know. Well, I also being from the East Coast, I think I've made a lot of people envious when I'm snapping my selfies here along the coast, especially this time, whale watch season. What a great place to come and look for those whales, which we'll be talking about later in the show. But since one more thing about the resort, you come every other month with your team to have the mayor's breakfast, and it's always wonderful. So tell me about your mayor's breakfast today, how that went, and maybe some of what you got to talk about with the leaders from our city's committees and commission.
So yes, so every month I do host a mayor's breakfast where we have all the chairs of the committees and the commissions from the city come in and talk about what's going on in the committees and the commissions. We invite one of the other city council people to join. Today it was Councilman Steve Peristam, and we just go around and talk about major things that are going on in the city, concerns from our committees and commissions, things that they think that we need to know about at the city council level, and we also help them focus them, making sure that they're looking at items that the city council really needs them to work on.
What the big issues that the council works on in dealing with, like issues coming out of Sacramento and local control. You just passed the new 2025 legislative platform. Talk about that and how the impact that has, setting that platform so that we pay attention to what's going on in Sacramento and work on issues that matter to us.
Absolutely. One of the things we always are working on is housing, and some of the mandates that have come out of Sacramento that we think is a one-size-fits-all that really is not conducive to a city like Rancho Palos Verdes in a very high fire zone, forcing us to zone for high-density housing. Certainly after things we saw in Pacific Palisades and Altadena, it's just not the right thing to do. So we're continuing to work with our legislators in Sacramento.
And that platform, the legislative platform, we have on our city website. It's called the Legislation Corner. I recommend to go on. You can see the issues, the bills we're monitoring, and all of that.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, one thing we are monitoring right now are the whales. It's peak whale watch season.
Did you just call me a whale?
This happened last time. He's a big guy. We'll give him that. And he likes to spout off. Does that work?
Oh,
I had to do it. I had to do
okay.
it. The mayor, where's the respect? No. But we are in peak whale watch season, so whether you're going to come to Terranea, but also the Point Vicente Interpretive Center right up the street, fabulous place, and there's no better place to be there on Whale of a Day. We're already talking about it, the 40th anniversary of Whale of a Day on April 12th. And the list goes on. So why don't we talk about that event? Let's give it a plug.
So the Whale of Day is like the spring kickoff for this city. Since COVID pandemic shut down, we've come back even stronger. But come out on Whale of a Day. It's a celebration of the Pacific coastline, our ability to count our friends as they swim by, going down to their breeding grounds down in Baja California. But it's just a great event with the community. There'll be games for the kids. There'll be booze. We'll have some booze on public safety, and all of the committees will have different booze there. It's a great time.
Yes, and this year they're celebrating 40 years of this incredible festival. So there's going to be special events. They're going to have a special video presentation, trivia contests, and a lot more because of this special year. And again, just go down anytime to right now and join. There's a census that goes on every year.
Yep.
The American Cetacean Society. They're out there counting the whales. You can join them and learn all you need to know. And the City Council just honored the founder of that census, Lisa Schulman-Jeniger.
Right.
So talk about that, because that's one of the things you do as mayor. You get to honor local community members that are doing a lot, and she has done so much regarding citizen science. That's one of the oldest research projects for whales in the country.
Right, and she's been sitting out there on cold mornings, counting whales, helping with the census and tracking the migration of all sorts of species, whether it's the California gray whale, the blue whales, the humpback whales. All of these whales transit the Catalina Palos Verdes corridor.
Well, when it comes to her counting whales, we have to, they say, that time flies when you're having fun. She's actually been out there since 1984. And we want to thank her for what she does. And obviously the council, you thanked her for her passion and continuing to educate us on the gray whale migration and what the whale count's like. So we'll find out on Whale of the Day, and the mayor's going to be there ringing a bell every time you see a whale. And
yes, I will.
We won't ring it when we see you. Or maybe we will. No.
I'll spout off.
All right. That was excellent, because now we're going to talk about the egg hunt. We need to promote all the fun things our city's doing. We have the egg extravaganza coming up as well. Do you want to pitch that date to our residents
on
know?
April 19th?
Yes, we're talking.
That is, if you have never seen unbridled excitement of 200 1 to 8-year-olds being let loose to go try to find eggs out on the lawn at the Civic Center.
Yep.
It brings back your faith in humanity. It is just such a fun time to see that much excitement as they get let loose. One of the things I always enjoy, it really sets off spring in addition to Whale of the Day, then coming into the egg hunt.
It's a lot of fun. It's April 19th, and that is an event. If you want your child to participate, you need to register. So go on again to our city website.
And it does sell out
RPVtv.com.
because we just don't have enough room to have more. But I highly encourage everyone to come out for that one.
And the mayor will be there with his basket.
So do you think I can slip in under the age of 8 and under?
I think you're there.
Okay.
Because you're always a big kid. So on to mayoral activities. As mayor, you are all over the community, not just in the city, whether you might even be going up to Sacramento. Tell us about some of the things you've done in the last month that the residents might want to know about.
So we continue to work trying to find funding for the landslide remediation. That's one of our big issues, as well as working on our legislative platform. Have been two of the major things. We're also trying to work with the Coast Guard to look at ways forward for Point Vicente Lighthouse, as well as Battery Barns, and then working with the Wayfarers Chapel on where we could reconstitute Wayfarers Chapel in a safe place where we can have it there for another 75 years. Wayfarers is committed to keeping Wayfarers Chapel within the city, and we're committed to working with them and finding a great place with a phenomenal view to celebrate that architecture and that history within the city.
I know. That was very heartbreaking for our community months ago to watch the chapel had to be dismantled, but doing it for the right reasons so that we can bring it back and celebrate that incredible piece of history.
I know Wayfarers Chapel will rise out of those ashes like a phoenix, and we will have Wayfarers Chapel back in Rancho Palos Verdes within 10 years.
It's such an important part of our history. Terranea is a great part of our history now, so come on down and enjoy this beautiful resort that gives us back so much. We're going to wrap it up here for our monthly mayor show with Mayor Dave Bradley. I'm Liz Brown Swanson. You get the last word. Anything else you want to say?
Come out to Terranea, enjoy a wonderful Valentine's Day or any special occasion. They're a great partner with the city, and I can't say how much I enjoy working with the leadership here at Terranea and our other major businesses across the city.
And we appreciate all you do.
Thank you
Bradley.
very much.
You're amazing. All right, that'll do it. And thanks for tuning in. And remember, we are RPV together.